Tell me about how you first started your theories and research into correct language and control of the government via grammar and language, which is something I've done a lot of research on in the last 24 hours.
All right. Back in 1980, I went through a divorce. And in that divorce, the judge said that men cannot nurture children and therefore denied me my parental rights. I sued that judge for discrimination under the 1964 Civil Rights Act and had him disbarred. I then went back to court 65 consecutive times in front of Judge Wazalewski. I said to him, oh, what you're asking me then is to find a mathematical interface between language and math. He says, well, in 8,500 years, no one's ever been able to prove that. And he says, and if you can prove it, he says, I'll give you your kids back. So I spent 3 years, and on April 6, 1988, I broke the math interface and proving that all language, or I should say all grammar, on all 5,000 languages is a linear equation in algebra. And with that, I got my kids back. And I've had equal shared parenting.
And part of this correct language, like for example, it includes the use of hyphens and colons in people's names, right? So you've added at least one, maybe even a couple of colons to your name. How explain to me how that frees one from control by the government?
All right, when you look at your wristwatch, it's digital. You have colons in your time. Why do you have colons in your time? For the 30 minutes of the or right now it's for the 6 minutes of the first hour. So you're using prepositional phrases to certify the value of time because it's a fact. So I said, well, my name is a fact. I'm not an adjective pronoun. If I said David Wynn Miller, David is an adjective, Wynn is an adjective, and Miller is a pronoun. Well, an adjective is a modifier.
I have to interrupt here. This does not make any sense to me here. This makes absolutely no sense. Does this make sense to you? And honestly, this makes sense to you.
It's called grammar. It's called syntax, parse syntax grammar.
Yeah, but now sometimes you've attempted to help people, and when people have attempted to use this language in court, they've all lost their court cases. And haven't some people even been sent to jail for starting to use this language in court? I mean, is there any instance where...
Well, the case that you're referring to, the people filed a lawsuit in Wisconsin with a heading from Missouri.
No, I'm not just talking about that. I mean, October of 2001, Andrew William Sereda in Calgary, Alberta, and then we have Stephen Allen Margaret's in Wisconsin, and then we have Jason Zellmer. I mean, there's just so many people. Ed Dick and Brenda Rickard. I mean, she was ordered to have a psychological evaluation for using this colon and hyphen stuff.
Okay, when you're correct in a courtroom that tells lies, the liar has to protect himself. If they don't lie together, they'll all lay together.
Gotcha.
And so the judge had to cover up his ability to his perjury in the court by ordering the individual into psychological evaluation.
So it was a
taking
cover-up.
him out of the jurisdiction of the court to cover up his lie.
And explain to me when you proved that Hawaii is a verb. Tell me about that.
Well, it's the state of Hawaii. Anytime a state is a pronoun of as an adverb modifies the verb Hawaii.
Okay. It's
called grammar. It's called syntax grammar. I mean,
and why doesn't anyone else know or use this grammar? I mean, is this part of the government control?
Well, when you've told lies for 8,500 years, what is your first position? You want to protect your lie, otherwise you'll be embarrassed.
But if hold on a second though, David. 8,500 years, but you're citing something from the 80s, and this country hasn't been around nearly that long. Who has been lying?
Hey, we came from English. I disqualified Magna Carta in 2001 when I syntaxed it.
Okay.
Queen Elizabeth sold it at Christie's of London for $6.7 million 2 weeks later. Last week, Monday, Queen Elizabeth announced that England, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa do not have constitutions because when I syntaxed them and posted them on the internet, she realized that the parse, syntax, grammar on the constitutions is modified and says nothing. So
What does
I
it
wrote
mean?
new
What does it mean to
constitution
syntax something?
on the internet.
And tell me, when you teach people about this, for example, I read that a 6-day training is about $1,400. What do people get for that amount of money?
The seminars I put on, I do on Skype. Skype is the internet, and that's free to everybody.
Yeah, I get that. But what I'm saying is, do you ever charge people to teach them this correct language?
When I do my seminars in the United States, they are advertised publicly.
They are advertised publicly, but my question is, do you ever charge people to teach them how to use colons to get out of tax evasion and stuff like that?
I don't teach tax evasion. I teach people to use the correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar to pay their taxes.
Okay, so people do pay you to teach them that. Is that fair to say?
People make donations.
Okay,
and
fair enough.
It's open source. My website is open source for free. I'll answer anybody's questions.
And can you address this statement? There's an allegation where some say you claim to be the king of Hawaii. Can you address that?
Yes, in 1997, the Hawaiian, well, actually it was in 1995, the Hawaiian Kapunas came to me after they learned that I had broke the math interface on language. There were no rules or regulations or closure for using their name as a nom de guerre dead person. Now, if you're dead as a Hawaiian for 20 years on paper, your land is free for settlement. So the United States government, this law was made in 1849 by King Kamehameha, because they created this illusion on August 25th, it started in 1919, and by August 25th, 1959, President Eisenhower stood up and said, all Hawaiians are dead. We now.
Can I be completely honest with you, David? David, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I be completely honest with you? I don't know that you believe all this stuff. I think that you have figured you're kind of maybe an anarchist, and I think that this is shtick. I really do. I don't know that you believe all this stuff.
I've been at this 32 years.
Yeah.
And I've been world certified. The United States Supreme Court has ruled in my favor on these issues. All 9 Supreme Court judges agreed with me on this technology, and I work closely with them to teach them how to use this technology.
See, they deny that. There's outside of your claim, there's no evidence that anybody at anybody at the Supreme Court, and that you have taught them any of this stuff.
Well, you can call John Roberts up and you can ask him.
All right, well, I will try. Hey, real quick, last thing here. Jared Lee Loughner, the Arizona shooter, mentioned some of the...
Don't know anything about the man.
I understand.
Never heard his name before except on the TV.
I understand. So I know that you have claimed that, if anything, he may have looked at your website at some point. What did you think?
He has only a 3rd grade reading level. My website is written in a 28 reading level. There's no way he would comprehend it.
But so you're saying that Jared Lee Loughner, even though he claimed that he was concerned with government control via grammar, his reading level is not such that he would even be able to have read your website?
The man's crazy. Everybody knows that. Nobody would do something like that. You were absolutely crazy. His house was full of cartoons and The Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland, and he plays Halo. He combat games. He's got over 100 TV shows a week to brainwash him and how to kill people on television issued by your networks. So, TV is the one that's brainwashing people how to kill people. My technology teaches people how to use grammar in its correct format.
All right, David Wynn Miller, there it is. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you. Okay.